Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Overcast podcast. It's been a little bit, but we are more than thrilled to be back with none other than Nicholas Allbrook himself. Nick, how are you doing?
I'm all right, mate. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm Corey, by the way. I forgot to mention.
I'm Wes.
And yeah. Um, but Nick, how have you been holding up? What have you been up to recently? What are you keeping yourself busy with?
I've been in Los Angeles.
Ah, yes,
Um,
yes.
I am currently in Los Angeles. I've been um, making music with some people here, making some exciting collaboration stuff.
Hmm.
Um, and I sort of um, hurt myself a little bit, so I've been doing some rehabilitation.
Oh no. I hope you're all right. I hope everything's fine.
Nah, it's all good.
Good, good. Um, I would be remiss if I didn't try to pry and ask what kind of music you're working on, or you know.
Yeah, yeah, of course. I don't know if I can say. Maybe I am just totally can, but I wouldn't want to muck it up.
Yeah. No, I would hate to
I
get you in
probably should
trouble.
have asked beforehand.
It's all fine. But we do have plenty of music that we can talk about.
Yeah.
That has already been released. Um, yeah, so we can start with your solo stuff. I have a deep connection with an older EP of yours, the Walrus EP. That's actually the first thing I ever heard from you. Way back, I think it was 2015 when it came out. Uh,
Yeah, right.
the song in particular, Blanket 3072, fantastic. That I used to listen to that all the time. And I've always wanted to ask you about that because it's just so. Oh, you can see my dog Ringo
Ringo.
is making an appearance in
Oh,
the
hey!
back. He just woke up from a nap.
Welcome.
um,
Yeah.
I've always wanted to ask you about that EP because it's just so kind of out there, but it's a really cool listen.
Yeah, well, that's something I made in when I was living in Melbourne.
Hmm.
The was it 3072? I think was my postcode at the time. I was living in Preston. Um, of Courtney Barnett fame.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, I guess I was just making. I think I got into some different techniques for composition and stuff. I think I was getting a little bit stagnant, maybe, and sort of going through that thing that I'm sure most music makers or artists or whatever sort of get quite familiar with their medium, and especially with guitar you get that feeling like you just play the same thing every time you touch the bloody instrument.
Mm.
uh, so I got a sample pad, and I was like a roll just a Roland SP404, and like sample vinyl I had, and just use that as a to come in not on a blank canvas kind of. It's like
Hmm.
the first sort of 20% already done for you, and you just
Yeah.
sort of. But with that song, Blanket, um, I think that started just from the presets, like the preset super duper heavy club bass thing
Yeah.
in the 404 sample pack,
Hmm.
like thing, and it's just those three notes,
Hmm.
four notes that are along there, and do,
Yeah.
and yeah, I went
S-
from there.
Super fun to just blast that in a car and just destroy whoever's speakers.
Oh man, I think I destroyed many speakers over the time when I was doing that. Like because I'd sort of do it, I'd play it off that same sampler,
Hmm.
and like yeah, some really bewildered looking sound guys, um, with this little sort of you know, man shrew on stage, kind of playing delicate music that might like rip the you know, rip the chandelier from its holsters.
Yeah. Since you've touched on like your stage presence, we've seen you live in Austin several years ago at the Mohawk, and you are one of the most entertaining frontmen that I have ever seen live. You're just so um, sporadic, for lack of a better term, but it's just so entertaining to watch you. Just feel the music. It's great.
Thank you, man. That's very kind.
Um, we actually have a funny story. Our friend Justin, he's the one that mixes the audio for the podcast. He has video of you. I forgot what song it was, but you like lean backwards and you like hold on to his head for support. It's just like the greatest thing ever. But yeah, all your solo stuff is really great. From your older stuff, that's pretty old in 2015. And all the newer stuff you released in the past couple of years on Bandcamp has also been really great. I think it started the string of releases. I have it pulled up here to fact check. So it's 5 releases, and the first one was in 2019, and that was the Wabi Sabi one, which is great. Am I pronouncing that right?
Yeah, yeah.
a, a lot of things that um I'm real bad with pronouncing things, so I always clarify so I don't look like a fool.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's however far you want to go. I'm sure wabi sabi's a Japanese sort of concept, so I'm sure I'm not pronouncing it right. And Bruto Bruta is Italian, and I'm definitely pronouncing it wrong. Bruto Bruta. We Australians change all T's to D's.
Hmm.
Yeah, so it's all chill.
Yeah. Your most recent release, which was, I think, was it at the beginning of this year? When the marshes flood? Was that this year? Or was it
Yeah,
last year?
yeah, yeah, yeah. It would have been.
Yeah. That's your most recent release. Um, and it's a fantastic tune. And it also has the proceeds in buying that track actually go to a cause, if I'm correct. If you could explain that a little, that'd be great.
Yeah, yeah, no worries. I think all the proceeds from that were going to um, Environs Kimberley, which is a fantastic um, not-for-profit organisation that works in the Kimberley region of Western Australia, where I grew up, protecting its sort of uh, great natural beauty from
Mm-hmm.
usually like sort of mining companies and energy, fracking. They've been trying to do fracking there for a long time. They actually just managed to or helped along with the community to make a Texan energy giant, Origin Energy, like retract their plans
Mm-hmm.
to frack up there, which is huge. Great win. Yeah, but it's just like it's a really special part of the world. It's like culturally for Indigenous Australia, and and environmentally because it's fair. It's a lot. It's been a lot less meddled with than the rest of Australia, and a lot
Mm-hmm.
less than the rest of the world. You know,
Yeah.
um, you can actually go there and experience real peace and quiet, and yeah, just archaeological, historical. Like it's an amazing joint. It's beautiful and feels really special, and it'll be a great shame if it got more dug up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's always great to support. I mean, it's always great to support musicians and listen to music and stuff. But when I always love when artists do stuff for like a cause and like charitable things, especially something as important as this. I was that what you had posted on your Instagram today? The win that you were talking about?
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Connecting the pieces here. Got it. Another thing that caught my eye in particular was the credits on this song. Of course, it was engineered by Thomas Dolas, who we've actually talked to on the podcast.
Oh yeah.
Great guy.
He rocks.
Yeah. How did you come into contact with him, being from LA? Did you like meet him in LA or?
I got introduced to him by my friend Shags Chamberlain, who's incredible musician and engineer and eccentric and great bloke. But I was sort of looking for somewhere low key to work on these songs while I was in LA for a couple of months. I didn't want to like go to a big old studio or anything. I was actually feeling really insecure about most of the songs. I didn't really want to release it. So I sort of wanted somewhere humble enough that would befit how I felt about what I was doing. But yeah, Thomas's studio was so great and so cozy, and we had a great time recording.
I can imagine. You use the word humble. I think that's the perfect word to describe Thomas also. He's an incredibly humble person.
And so helpful for me doing that, just because of his chill, but also because he's a shit hot musician. And sometimes when I'd say like, oh, it'd be great if there was like a piano bit, but like a good piano bit. This is something I always come to when I'm like recording my own stuff. It's like, okay, it needs piano, needs flute, but I think I want it to be good flute, not like my flute. So he could actually.
He's the perfect person for that. Yeah.
He could twinkle.
Yeah. Also on the credits is drums by Joe McMurray, which is really cool. He drummed with Mac DeMarco for a little bit, touring, I believe. And also mixed and mastered by Stu McKenzie of King Gizzard. And it's always cool to see those two worlds, Giz and Pond, collide.
Yeah. Well, he did the mixing and the mastering of that When the Marshes Flood song.
Yeah.
Actually. The one I was recording. Oh wait, no. Sorry, yeah. You're right. I got switched up between the work because I also recorded the Wabi Sabi Bruto Bruta stuff with Thomas.
Yeah.
I lost my track of time.
It's understandable. You've released quite a few quite a few titles over the years, so it's understandable.
That's very generous of you. I'll take that.
One thing that we do fan questions at the end of the show, and when we had Shiny Joe Ryan on last time, one of the questions asked was, would Pond ever do a collaboration with King Gizzard? And that's always like that'd be a dream.
Yeah. Do you want me to answer that?
Oh, no. I just like stewing over that idea. But I'd like to get your thoughts on it if you have any.
Oh, I'd love that. They're just the other Pond. I don't know. Gum was saying you know, when we were at Primavera, um, it's funny because you see that crew standing on the other, you know, on the other side of the bloody the artist corral or whatever they call it, and it just looks like a bunch of us, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
making similar kind of crow, you know, Australian noises and
Yeah.
yeah, nah, I love them. I love their music. That'd be amazing.
Yeah. It'd be great to hear a bunch of crow noises from all of you together. I'm sure you
Can't
would
help
produce some great noises.
it. Can't help it.
um, moving on more towards the pond aspect. As you can see, I'm a big fan. Um, got a rep.
Yeah.
Got a rep. Um, your latest release with Pond was the 9 Deluxe album. And I thought that was really cool because I thought 9 was fantastic on its own. And then when I heard it was getting a deluxe release, I was like, this is even better. Because who doesn't want more 9? um, and I was wondering what made you guys want to do a deluxe release of this album? Because it's the first deluxe release you've done of an album. So what was it with this one?
Yeah, we just had extra songs.
Mm.
We just had a bunch of other songs that we were like, these are good. They're still good. I want to put them out.
Yeah.
But we sort of got in that zone with the original one of making it concise or not concise like you know like it all fits in, it all makes sense with each other, it's all of the same sort of palette or whatever.
Yep.
And those extra songs were deemed not of the same palette. But then when we did the deluxe release and it was all multicolored instead of just kind of grey and black and white, we could put whatever.
Yeah. That's cool that how you mentioned the covers of like being, well, of course it's part of like the music, but that's cool that I've never heard it described as that, like being a different, adding more flavors so you can add more musical flavors to the album. That's a cool way to explain it.
Yeah, it was sort of an afterthought, but it made sense as I was saying it.
It makes it sound like it was all thought out.
Yeah, totally.
It sounds great.
Oh, we're good at that. We're making art of that.
Yeah. So in that sense, when you record like other albums, are you guys just, do you have the songs that you know are going to be on the album and you're like, let's just crank these out, and don't really have extra songs in that sessions? Or
No, we usually do. Yeah, we usually have a bunch. There's still a whole lot from previous albums, I think, that didn't make it on there. Like, it'll start off with a big list of, you know, of all types of stuff, and then it might get recorded, and some of them we're just like, let's not bother. And then towards the end, we'll usually cut off maybe one or two that are just like less, not as good as the rest of it, really.
Yeah, that'd be cool to get maybe later deluxe releases of older albums.
Yeah, I'd have to remember what they are. I can remember some of them. Yeah, that would be good.
I could just bring it up now since we're on the subject of older albums. A lot of the questions that we had gotten were asking about represses of older albums or re-releases of older albums. And Joe had kind of touched on that when we talked to him, and he said that some of the stems or something like that were lost, but you might do like a comp release or something. I was just wondering if we could get like an update on what's happening there, if there is any.
Yeah, that's quite that's pretty funny. It's he's bang on. He's bang on. But the lost masters, because it never got mastered. Like we're talking about psychedelic Mango Vision.
Oh, my favorite. That's like a dream of mine to own.
Yeah, well, it's hard to say remastered because you just mastered.
Yeah.
Um, because I did the mastering like long before any of us had any concept of what mastering was. Um, I just thought it was making everything kind of about the same volume. Like
Mm.
it's not. Yeah. So I did it. And considering that's what I thought the goal was to make everything the same volume, I did a fucking terrible job. Like, some songs are so much louder than the others. Um, I remember being in an addled state, thinking that it would enhance my ability to master.
Yeah.
It's not true. But yeah, we someone actually found at least the CD, like the original CD.
Uh-huh.
Um, and yeah, we're gonna make a compilation of a bunch of the really old stuff
Very nice.
and press it nicely and all that.
Cool. Make it all nice and pretty. It's funny
Well,
when you mentioned psychedelic mango vision, like not sounding too great. When I first heard it, it was the only access that I had to it was on like a YouTube rip. And then I
yeah,
remember listening to it and be like, oh man, this YouTube rip is not very good. It might have just been the mastering.
no, that's it.
Well, now I appreciate it even more. I love it now. um, but yeah, I really loved the older sound of all that stuff. Like Frond is still, I think, like a golden album in my opinion. Just in general, over in music in general, I love that album so much. I actually have that one on CD, which is pretty cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Great.
um, but that's one that a lot of people were asking about too. If they're like, oh, we need Frond on not just like repress, but like streaming and stuff. Also, they want all the older stuff, and you know, I guess we'll get what we can get at this point.
Yeah, you get what you're given. Or what you can get,
Yeah.
People are very resourceful.
Do those sort of lost tapes, as it were, does that extend as far back or as far back as like Beard's Wife's Denim also? Because that was somewhat of a more recent release, and I would love to get a repress of that since it's already been pressed.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, we should.
Yeah,
No reason not to repress that. I love that album still.
yeah, me too. It just sucks. It always sucks with artists that like things are so hard to get by. But at the same time, it was just like, that's just how many were made at that time.
Yeah,
It couldn't be
yeah.
a big rollout.
No, you're very right though. You're very right. It's time.
Can't wait. Can't wait. I was really excited because Gum just re-released his older albums and nabbed those up real quick. So I'd do the same with Pond.
Good. Okay, that's enough insurance for me.
I'll be there. I'll be a customer at least.
Always
um,
wanted.
uh, so sticking with Pond from old releases, I'd like to ask if there's anything new in the works. I know you guys just did a tour a few months ago. You did a UK and EU tour, I believe, and in November starts the American tour.
Hmm.
So how was that? How was touring a few months ago? Was that the first time you guys had toured again after everything hit the fan?
Um, yeah, we've done it. Oh, we've done a few Australian ones.
Mm.
Um, just kind of, little ones.
Hmm.
But that was the first tour where
Hmm.
you really feel like you're on tour.
Yeah.
um, and then yeah, this next American one will be seriously you're back on tour because even the last EU one was like fairly cushy in part. Actually, no, it was pretty hard in parts too. Now that I think about it, now that I remember. But yeah, it was good. It's great to be back.
Yeah. Uh, really You guys haven't come to Texas in a while.
True. Ages.
I've been jonesing to see you guys, and when I heard the announcement of a tour, I was like, yes, no Texas. I was like, oh man.
True. Man, I never even look at the bloody things.
You just kind of go where they take you.
Yeah. We're seriously not playing Texas. No, I'm sorry.
It's fine. Maybe next year.
Yeah.
Any new music in the works with Pond? Studio stuff that you can talk about?
Yeah. We've just been very vaguely mucking around so far. We haven't really had any time to properly get in, make a good crack at it. You know, with all the Tame touring and the babies and all of this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But we'll get in. We've been starting, lots of writing, things like that.
Yeah. How does that process work? Like, is it different with every album going into it, or are you guys kind of like, you have sort of a process set down already when it comes to making a new album?
No, it's pretty, it's fluid, but it's often each of us working individually, like me, Gum, and Shiny Joe, sort of making coming up with ideas and recording little demos of them, whether it be a full song with every melody and chord change and bridge and guitar part mapped out, or it'll be just a chord progression,
Yeah.
And we'll share that with each other. Things that catch on. Things that don't. I'll write lyrics to things that get developed. And then we'll go in once a list of stuff has been decided to muck around with. Then we'll go into a studio, either our one or wherever, often at Keb's one, and we'll just kind of try and track all the tunes.
Yeah.
But it was different for the last album 9 because we did a lot of live recording. Just we sort of had time, and we really just finally, after all these years, actually wanted to. We actually wanted to get in a room and play with each other. Playtime.
Yeah.
It was probably because of bloody pandemic stuff. Wanting to hang out with friends again.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Pond 9 definitely does have that. You can always tell when albums are like recorded live because they have a sort of different energy in general, I think. Not in terms of like just being, just sonically. I mean, you can hear like, yeah, they were definitely in the same room recording this and just like maybe sort of riffing off each other,
Yeah. No, there's a lot more collaboration in 9 than in that sense than there have been for a while. I think we've definitely gotten, space. Man, it feels like Space Again, The Weather in Tasmania. We're sort of in a suite, I suppose, where we were really writing songs individually, and like maybe we were being hard to impress with each other. So everyone was sort of like, I'm going to bring in a demo that is so good. But basically means it's finished before you, show it to anyone.
Yeah, well, those, Man, It Feels Like Space Again and The Weather are like definitely in my top 20 favorite albums of all time because especially The Weather, I mean, Jesus Christ, it's such a good piece of work. We're back from the little break, and we are going to do fan questions for you, Nick, and I hope you're ready because some of these are juicy. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. They're all pretty basic questions. So we'll take turns reading them. If you'd like to go first, Wesley.
Okay. This first question is from Rest in Peace Zanman, and they are asking which Pawn song means the most to you, lyrically or musically, or both.
Um, I mean, Daisy always jumps to mind.
Classic.
Yeah, it's just it hits me in the right place, but I'm not sure if it's because I haven't really gotten off my uplifting, heart-wrenching pub rock trip. So that one's still, I'm still like, yeah, I look forward to playing it, and the lyrics are very personal. They're about um, my home up north where I grew up, and the sort of messy and confusing and terrifying ways that it got colonized, and how it is now. And yeah, so it means a lot to me.
That is a fantastic song. I remember when that song was released. It was just such a good day. Any time a Pawn song is released, it's a good day. I'd kind of like to branch off that just a little bit. You had mentioned earlier that you might write lyrics during the recording process, and that's something that I was wondering, because a lot of your lyrics sound so. I mean, they're very thought out. It seems like listening to them, and I was just wondering. I guess you had kind of answered it, but I was wondering, do you already have like a set of lyrics that you're like, I'd like to make this into a song one day, or is it all sort of in the session?
No, I've got a lot of stuff that just lies around.
Mm.
A lot of it I forget about as the notebook gets more filled up and I start going to the other end of it.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I go back, like I don't really make a habit of it, but sometimes I'll look back in old notebooks that have become part of the furniture. What was this meant for again? And I'll look in there and there's actually some okay stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's often ones that I write without any kind of music and think like, yeah, that's pretty good. I'll keep that for you know a later song or one of the other guys' songs or something like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Really cool stuff. Um, I guess this one we kind of touched on, asking about if there was anything in the works. But I thought I'd ask it anyways. Peachy Malacco, they ask, when can we expect his next solo album?
Um. Oh, it should be early next year, I guess. Yeah.
Is that what you're work? Oh, I guess you can't really say. I was gonna say, is that what you're working on now?
Oh no, it's not.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, can't wait for that. Can you give us a little
We're working
details
on
on?
we're working on other people's music, not ours.
Ooh, interesting.
Mhm.
Even more excited. But for your next release, can you give us a little insight, a little deets on what it might sound like or where it's
Yeah,
coming from?
yeah. I suppose it's quite. A lot of it was recorded live. Like I mean, live in the studio, live,
Mm-hmm.
but with piano, guitar, bass, drums, vocals, all happening at that moment, which was really fun. And it's that same thing. I was just hungry for it. I couldn't face the idea of sitting down and recording stuff myself.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. Just a sort of conflagration of different things of I don't know, the relative loneliness or sort of insecurity with making decisions about what was good in a song, and figured it's so much. I was just like longing for that freedom and peace of mind that you've got a bunch of other people who you trust to make good musical decisions, so you don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
Which is just so, that's why it's fun to make music with people, because you're not shouldering the whole burden, and that's when it becomes fun again, not like a real like grind, although this album did turn into a real grind. Yeah, so
Funny how that works.
There's a bunch of that. There's a bunch of me just mucking around mine in the pond studio at home, the dust. And yeah, I guess it's quite a. It's in part I wanted it to be like sort of like you know. Like a sort of jazzy punk thing. I'm thinking of who's Everybody Loves the Sunshine.
Come
on, guys.
I have no idea.
It's completely Roy Ayers. Yeah, I suppose I was just enjoying playing sort of Roy Ayers-y chords, but also thrashing things out ham-fistedly in a sort of concrete room with my friends. Yeah, and other parts of the album are more like sort of sound collages by me, because I got really obsessed with tape loops.
Nice.
Yeah, really cool. Can't wait for that then. That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty weird. Sad and weird.
That's always the best combination.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Wes.
All right. Next question comes from user Sans is my favorite. Have you found the original creator for the Weather album cover yet, or is it still kind of like a mystery, lost to time?
Man, someone at when we were playing in Maroochydore, which obviously is in Australia, because that's probably the most Australian name I've ever heard in my life. Someone came to our gig there with the original postcard.
Oh, wow.
From the 70s. They bought it on eBay. I didn't actually take note of the photographer. I'm sure it says it on the back though. I'll check when I get home.
Awesome.
I figured he gave it to you.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he was just like, here it is. All right, see ya. Yeah. Left. Yeah, that's such an iconic album cover at this point for me. Like I was saying, I hold that album in such high regard. I'm just like, yeah, it's great. I love it.
Thank you.
Here's one thing that I was gonna touch on earlier, but this question can lead into it pretty nicely. This is from Robo Echo, and they ask, what are some of your go-to running albums?
Go-to running albums, hey? Oh, that's a great question. I mean, the further into running, into being a runner I've gotten, I mean, I kind of stopped listening to music for ages, but now I'm getting back. I swear the more cheesy my music taste is, I mean, there's no such thing as I mean, there is such thing as cheese, but it's all good, you know? I'm not about to make crazy claims that there's no such thing as cheese. So I guess like Born in the USA, Face to Face by the Angels, Screamadelica, I really like listening to Rage Against the Machine. Like listening to a bit of Black Album, a bit of
All classics.
Ride the Lightning.
Nice.
But really, the same as I said before, like really uplifting pub rock, like Midnight Oil or Dragon. The Waterboys, you know. I like listening to Horses by Patti Smith. Yeah, that sort of area. That sort of area of like 80s Australiana often ticks the boxes. Paul Kelly's Post. Yeah.
Yeah, all very good stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not much of a runner myself. My wife is a runner, and she has a specific playlist dedicated to like running music. I always ask her, I'm like, I wonder if anybody runs to sad music, just like they want to run away from their problems.
Yeah. Yeah, I went through a period of listening to like ambient music when I was running, because I was into ambient music when I was not running. Didn't work for me at all. Like, I would have thought that any music would work, but the draw towards listening to massively fucking grandiose, like, you know, gut punching music is just too strong.
Yeah, you got to get the blood pumping somehow.
You can't listen to ballads while you're running for an hour or something.
Yeah, I mean, you can listen to ballads. They've just got to be big ballads. So like, I guess I don't mean big in the sense of loud or fast.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, like hooky or big feelings, big
Just
obvious feelings
grand
for teenagers and me.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
All right, Wes.
All right, this next one comes from user Tucker. That's with, looks like 5 R's. Anyways, they're asking, what is your favorite synth? And if I could just piggyback off of that, just any other of musical equipment that you like a lot, you know, whether it be pedals or anything like that.
Yeah. Synths. I really like the grandmother, the Moog. It just seems to make cool noises off the bat. Yeah, I don't really have any. I used to, but they've sort of become shared, or, you know, it's just like we all have. It's like, why bother when there's Gum, who's got, you know, Gum and Kev and Joe, who have like every good synth under the sun. But yeah, I just really like the simple ones with simple kind of oscillator stuff, the realistic. I get a bit overwhelmed. I like an Oberheim. They're amazing.
What do you have, like a favorite, like if you could only have one of your instruments for the rest of your life, which one would you choose?
Guitar. My Fender Mustang. Yeah, I guess a piano. Probably a piano. Definitely a piano. I'm gonna change my answer. Yeah.
Okay. Is it a specific one that you have, or just any sort of piano?
No,
Or
there
maybe
are way better ones than the one I have. I love my one. I love my one, but like
Uh-huh.
I'm very attached to it. But I think if someone was asking me, I'd just be like, oh, maybe just a bit better one. Like this, but better. I really love. I really love playing on Wurlitzers, or like Fender Rhodes pianos when they're around. I find them very inspiring. I always take my Critter and Guitari pocket piano, because that, again, like, it doesn't have a huge range of noises, but you can't make a cheesy shit noise. It's all this kind of 8-bit Game Boy sounding thing. It's just, you can either send it into complete manic insanity or just like a sort of super lo-fi pad thing. And it's like that big and it runs on batteries and you can play it at the park and stuff. It's great.
I really like portable, like little cool synthesizers like that. I think they're real fun.
Yeah, little toys. They're great.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I would say I want the OP1, but that thing's too fucking expensive. I can't afford that.
I know, what happened? Oh my god.
You guys used one. Man, this is a real throwback on it's a live one when you guys did Prototype.
Yeah,
I think Julian was on the OP1.
That's it. He pretty much made his whole album on that OP1.
It's an amazing thing.
Mm.
I just wish it wasn't so fucking expensive.
Yeah, sucks. But I don't know. I keep my gear very spare, so I can say my favorite things because there's not many of them. But yeah, so the Mustang, my flute. It's a bit shit. It's a bit dinged up, but it's my flute.
Gets the job done.
It does get the it can get the job done. My pocket piano, my 505 drum machine, Roland 505 drum machine. I used to play a Hofner. It's my favorite bass. It's one of my favorite instruments. I don't have one anymore, but
Was it that red one that you used to have?
Oh, that was terrible. I only played that. I
remember
for one tour.
Yeah, I've seen some videos of you using a red one.
Yeah, no, that was a shocker. Yeah, that's it. Actually, sorry, I should also, on the gear, I should shout out the Boss Harmonist, which makes my guitar go or boo.
Fantastic.
I love that thing.
Demonstration.
And the peppermint fuzz.
Peppermint fuzz.
Good fuzz.
I'll have to look into the peppermint fuzz. It's a great name for a song too.
Yeah.
I feel like it's hard to find not a good fuzz, but like a fuzz that has that specific tone that you're looking for. Like there's a billion fuzz pedals out there.
Yeah.
And yeah.
It's a deep well.
C'est la vie. Here's one. This is it's a good question, but I also wanted to read it just because of the username, and it's from user J Watson's Mustache on Reddit, and they ask favorite part of going on tour in the USA / least favorite part.
Favorite part of going on tour in the USA? I love coming here, seeing the people, obvious things, playing shows, shows, and sort of being face to face in the same room with people. The USA, it's the place that from which was born all the shit that has been the most important things in my life,
Mm-hmm.
Culturally, it forms the fabric of what like Australian culture is in a weird way. Modern culture, because of like all so much media comes from America. But rock and roll and punk music and the beats and heaps of stuff, hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
And it's vast and varied, which Australia is not. It's vast and less varied. I mean, it depends how you look at it,
Mm.
But yeah, each of the states sort of has its own little sort of microculture and whatnot.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And your least favorite part?
Least favorite, well, while America did, birth some of the coolest things ever, it also birthed some of the worst.
Yep.
Yeah.
The sort of in-your-faceness of capitalism and materialism can be quite hard. The inequality is very sad, but that's not restricted to America by any means. I'm scared of guns. I do actually think about them quite a lot, like more than I should. I was walking along the street today, and someone was walking past me, and I thought they could have a gun.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they're probably my least favorite things. Oh no, getting into customs.
What is that? I've never. I don't. What is that like?
They just do the big boy thing. It's so weird. Like, you're gonna have to explain that to me better. You go, oh, sorry, stop right there. Just weird shit like that. God.
Yeah. Wesley, you can ask another one.
All right, I think this will be the last one that I read. This comes from Corey with an EY, K1. What do you think is the most important music theory or guitar concepts you need to learn in order to write your own stuff?
I mean, none.
Yeah.
Really. You can write a song without knowing anything about guitar whatsoever. I suppose, it's hard to say because every theory you learn in another sense restricts you. I lent hard on the sort of relative majors and minors as this sort of automatic thing of chord changes that just go up or down in key. But like, if you follow those sort of rules, then you never have any sort of dramatic chord changes.
Yeah.
So I guess the thing that makes songs good is going outside of theories and concepts that you'd learn. So yeah, whatever you learn, just learn as much as you want, as much as you can, but remember to, get wired and steer crazily outside of your box occasionally.
Yeah. It's great advice.
Yeah.
I want to go write a song now.
Yeah.
This will be the last fan submitted question, and this one has the most upvotes. So this is the one that I've been saving. This is another one from Peachy Malacco, and they ask, will we ever get a chance to listen to Celine live?
Peachy Moloko. I don't know. I can't answer that. I'm not violently opposed to it. So it could happen.
Could happen, Peachy Malacco.
Thank you for your question.
Yep. How do you choose what songs you play live?
It's not much interesting. In fact, it's definitely not much interesting about it. It's either like what we're feeling, what we like, what we can play, how much time we have to rehearse. But every time it'll be like someone will say, "Oh, has anyone ever?" I was thinking, wouldn't it be cool to play, Zond again? And it's like, then maybe a chorus of groans will go. It's like, all right, don't worry about it. Or recently, someone was like, what about we bring back Waiting Around for Grace? And I feel like, yeah, actually, that's a bit of a vibe.
That's a classic.
Yeah, it's just that sort of stuff. But it's usually new stuff that actually ends up feeling good to play live and isn't too hard.
Do you ever get tired of playing songs live?
Yeah. Oh, shit, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I'm glad that was an honest answer, because I feel like some people, they're like, no, I like all my, I like playing them all.
Nah. You fucking... Oh, yeah. Of course you get sick of them. But, like, it's surprisingly little. There's a lot of them that just stick through. And you're like, I still enjoy this. There have been some hangers on. Some have really hung on. Like Grace.
Yeah. I feel like that one is like a good staple song. Like one of those songs that, like, even if you guys are doing this when you're 60, you're like, all right, here's Waiting Around for Grace.
Yeah.
Do you ever listen? I always wonder this about certain artists. I'm like, do you ever listen to your old music? Like, just like you're chilling, just like, oh, let me throw on, Beard's Wives Denim or Hobo Rocket.
Last time I did, I went for a long run in London, and I listened to Beard Wives Denim. I think I got onto it because I was like, I'd made a playlist of the coming set for the next tour, and I wasn't with the other guys, so I just had to like remember how the songs went. I got onto one of the Beard Wives songs. It's like, damn, it's pretty cool. So I listened to it. It was good. I don't think I've listened to any of the other albums. I listened to The Weather a bit after. I listened to Tasmania a bit after. I listened to Edge of the World, I think. I really like that.
I love that song. That song made me weep in class in high school. I told Joe I had to ask the teacher. I'm like, can I go to the restroom? And I just walked around school crying. It was beautiful.
That is just so touching. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've listened to that a few times. But generally I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is something new. I'm going to start closing each podcast with this same sort of question, just to put an indefinite capstone at the end of each episode. So, if you could recommend one book, one movie, and one album, what would it be? What would they be?
Great way to end. One book, I'd recommend Lives of the Saints by Nancy Lehman. It's very beautiful. It's set in New Orleans, and um, it's just very tender and real and honest. And the language she uses is so like quintessentially hers. It's that it was one of those books where I found myself walking around talking like that in
Yeah.
my head.
Mm-hmm.
And saying these phrases that always pop up, this way of this sort of way, her voice, really like dramatic and overly emotional, but kind of, they're also just like pathetic, just like fucked people. But it's so beautifully human and transparent that these like kind of dead end almost like rich people just getting pissed and going to events and like doing their thing is written with such like pathos and heart.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite small. It's really beautiful. Yeah. Movie. Oh, Jesus, I'm terrible with movies. Well, I'll need to come back to that. What was the other one? Album. One album. Oh my God. Like, I don't know, World of Echo by Arthur Russell, I guess. And it's not for everyone.
That's why we ask. We like to, get different answers and stuff.
Yeah, sure. I'll say World of Echo. Actually, I'll change it to Robert Wyatt's Rock Bottom because that is beautiful and weird. But it kind of kicks into gear in a few parts.
And a movie.
Oh God. Just any.
What's one? Just a movie that you really like, you enjoy.
Okay, a movie that I really like. Yeah, I'm not a connoisseur. I often fall asleep. It's as soon as the movie comes on, there's a signal in my brain that says like,
time to nap.
It's over. The day is over.
Maybe a better question would be, what movie have you actually made it through?
What movie have I made it through? Man, I watched Mulholland Drive on the way to LA. I made it through that. That was terrifying. I mean, I guess not terrifying is the wrong word. It was creepy. Really creepy. But it was beautiful. Yeah, it was great. I love his way of creating stuff.
It's David Lynch
Just
for you.
follow the muse, no matter how little sense it makes. Movies I like. My favorite movie for a long time was The Blues Brothers.
Oh, classic, yeah.
That was it for ages. The Royal Tenenbaums, that just kills me. Kills me every time. It's so heartbreaking. And Mad Max fucking rocks.
The original?
I mean, yeah, that rocks. The new one rocks even harder, but it makes you more scared about the end of the world.
Yeah. Fury Road is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't wait for the new one. They're making a new one. Another one.
Can't wait.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that was a good way to wrap things up. Talking about the fear of the end of the world. But
fitting.
Yeah, very. But thank you, Nick, so much for doing this. It was such a great time talking to you. I hope it wasn't too painful. We're sorry to all the listeners. We're a bit rusty. It's been a while. But I think you really carried the conversations, Nick.
It was fantastic. You guys are great.
Thank you so much. And yeah, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope you stay safe in LA.
Cheers, man. Me too.
Yeah. Well, with that, we will sign off. And Nick, just stay safe and stay clean.
Cheers, bro.